maybe it's slapping, maybe you get into that, or maybe you're more like groove based and melodic, you know what I mean? And I think simply by playing your favorite songs, like it'll by default you'll branch out into, what it means to you.
Hello and welcome to ForBassPlayersOnly.com. I'm John Liebman, founder and first baseman. If you've ever wanted to learn bass, but you think you might be too old, or maybe your body won't cooperate because of arthritis or tendonitis or any of that stuff, you should know that right now there are thousands of people inside the For Bass Players Only community, a lot of them of the silver-aged vintage, and they are learning bass. They are having the time of their life playing music that they love. You should come join them and experience that incredible transformation for yourself. Because as I always say, you're never too old to groove. So let's play bass. My guest this week is an old friend, Emma Anzai, who is the bassist and founding member of the Australian hard rock band Sick Puppies. And she also became a full-time member of the American hard rock band Evanescence back in, I think, 2022. Sick Puppies, after releasing 5 studio albums, the band is getting ready to put out a new record next year. In the meantime, they have just released their first lead single in over 8 years called There Goes the Neighborhood, which came out in late July. And another single called Going Places is coming out around moderately now by the time this interview is published. Both songs are on the long-awaited 6th album, Wave the Bull, which is scheduled for release in early 2025 and will be supported by a world tour. In the meantime, you can catch Emma on her moonlighting gig. She's also touring with Evanescence now through the end of this year. Welcome back. It's great to see you again, Emma. Welcome back to For Bass Players Only.
Thank you so much. It's good to be back.
The last interview we did was in 2018, and we did another interview before that. Remember the Warwick Bass Camp in Magnerherzen, Germany. I never said that the same way once.
Me too.
That was 10 years ago.
That was it? Wow. That was a really great time. That was the first time I've ever experienced that. And I'll always remember it. It was awesome.
That was my first time there too. It was my first time in Germany. That was
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
And I was
Yeah.
looking at that interview this morning. I think I see Bobby Vega milling around behind and popping in.
Right.
So tell me about Wave the Bull. It's an interesting title, and
Yes.
I want to ask you about the message, the long awaited, the Fury, I think was the last one, and that was a long time ago. But I just want to say this, and then I'll shut up. There's a statement from the band about Wave the Bull. It says, this concept album is a collection of songs that thematically, lyrically, musically, and sonically double down on the narrative that it's not about what life throws at you. It's about the way in which you face it. So, Wave, very great advice. Would you care to comment on that? Let's start there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much what you said. It's just it's kind of a play on sorry. It basically means, like, rather than shying away from adversity and being scared of it, it's just trying to, like, throw caution to the wind and just bringing it on almost in a way, and knowing that you're going to get through it, and having that courage and I mean, fearlessness, I would like to say. I know that's kind of like that's hard to come by, fearlessness, but just the fearlessness of yes, you can get through whatever it is that is coming your way.
Well, that's good to know, especially for a lot of us in America. And I'm not going to say any more about any of that.
Yeah.
But I watched one of your videos and I listened to the other song, and I think that spirit comes out loud and clear. What else?
Cool. Good.
Tell me about the album, because there's a list of songs there. So you're releasing them one at a time, which
Yes.
is very strategic. What else? How did this come about? Why did it take so long? Anything else like that you'd care to share? What do you want people to know about Wave the Bull?
Sure, yeah, that's a good question. I think that the fact that it did take so long is part of the story. And I think that everything happens for a reason. There was COVID and there was just, life that sort of gets in the way of your plans. And I think that us releasing it now was probably meant to happen that way because it just felt right. The timing was right. And I mean, we wanted to release it like pre-pandemic. We were like planning on doing all that, and then that all happened, and it just didn't feel right. There was things getting in the way, and a lot of bands I think felt that way too. They released stuff, and or they didn't survive, or it was a struggle to survive as a band. So we kind of like hit a lot of that stuff as well. And I think that now we've come out the other side of it. It just sort of makes a lot more sense, and also the theme itself makes a lot more sense because it's just about overcoming adversity and just basically just egging it on. And because we had written like all these songs, like, some of them were written a couple of years ago, some of them were written more recently, and we had put it together and we had written a bunch of stuff before that even. And I think we were like, I don't think this is the right thing. We were just sort of experimenting and we were trying, and it's hard to get into that right mindset sometimes. And it took a little while, but it all kind of, like I said, happened for a reason because then when we hit upon like these songs that we have now that eventually became the album, it sort of made more sense to us. And the way we sort of made sense of it in I want to say it's not really like a heavily concept album necessarily, but it is in a way. And we grouped the songs in three levels because they're so different. And so I guess it would be three sections. One was the Omen, and then it was the Fight, and then the Aftermath, and all the songs kind of fit into one of those three categories. So that's kind of like how we like to explain it to make sense of it.
This is it's not exactly like any of your other previous records because I know there's I think you laughed at something I said that some of your music is really in your face and some of it is almost got like the unplugged mellow vibe.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Would you say this album compares to your previous material?
I
In
think
addition to anything that you just explained.
right. It's kind of the same in the way that I think we are lucky to get away with being able to be really sort of aggressive in your face, as you put it. And we're able to sort of like, kind of just be aggressive and put out fight songs, that kind of thing. And at the same time, we've got like, ballads about love and just really like mellow stuff. And to be able to have that like spectrum, I guess, is lucky that we're able to pull that off as a band. We've always done that from the beginning, even from the first album. We've always had sort of that spectrum. So we've kept on with that theme. We've got super heavy stuff and then, super mellow stuff as well.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the timing now because you did have a personnel change quite a while back. And I think the last time
Yep.
might have been just a little bit after that. And you said things were gelling. It's the same three that were
Yep.
in 2018. Okay.
Yep. Same three.
Oh, that's going well. You want to talk about that at all?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's always difficult to do that, especially with a singer. That it's not lost on us how difficult it is, and especially for fans too, for them to get sort of used to it. They decide whether they like it or not, whether it's for them or not, and that's totally fine. And then just for us as well, because we've started the band in high school, and so it was a lucky transition because it could have been anybody and it could have gone one of many different ways. But I think over the years it gelled from the beginning, and I think we like almost rushed into like making Fury, and it was on the back of a lot of momentum energetically from us, so that really worked. And then I think just over the years, yeah, we've honed in on what works for us musically, our tastes, what we want to do. So I think yeah, it worked out really well.
Well, great. I mentioned that you have a tour in the works to promote the record. How nailed down is that right now? Do you know how long the tour is? Do you know where you're going to be going, which countries, which continents, or anything like that?
For Sick Puppies, not quite sure yet, but we're obviously definitely going to be doing all of that, all over North America. I'm not sure about necessarily we would be doing Europe and everything like that. I'm not sure what countries as yet. Um, but as soon as we put that in the books, we'll be just posting it on social media, so you can check it out there.
So you will. How are you managing to juggle being in two pretty high profile bands? How's that going?
It's good. It's good. At first, it was pretty overwhelming. I wasn't sure. When you first start something, you're not sure how it's going to go, the uncertainty of what may come up, that kind of stuff. I was a little bit anxious about it, and at times it was overwhelming, especially at the very beginning. Just learning the new material and going, okay, like with the scheduling, and am I going to be able to do all this? And there are some spots there where it got intense in terms of like having to be somewhere the next day and then but that hasn't happened as yet. That was one time. So I think it's just a matter of like making sure that we plan it ahead of time. So it's really great though. I mean, I'm loving it. It's awesome.
Well, that's great. You're very fortunate to be able to do that, and
I am. I know.
fans are very fortunate to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about your bass gear, because I know you used to be all about
Yes.
Warwick. I mentioned we were at Warwick, and I saw you in one of the videos. It looked like was it a Music Man or
Music
something?
Man, yeah.
Okay, so tell me about your bass gear and your basses, strings, amps, stuff like that. What are you playing?
Well, yes, as you said, I used to play Warwick solely, and still love them. They're friggin' awesome. Played them for years. But recently, over the pandemic, I switched over to Music Man, and that was right before a couple of years, I guess, before Evanescence, and it kind of was serendipitous because Tim, the original bassist of Evanescence, plays Music Man as well. So that transition was quite easy because they have a lot of tunings, like different tunings. So therefore, at a show, it would be like a lot of changes. So therefore, I would have to have like a lot of basses, and that kind of made that complicated. It would have been complicated if he didn't have a bunch, and then I had some as well. So I was using some of his, and I was using whatever his rig was, and it kind of like it was a seamless transition. So that worked out really well. And then recently, I switched to Quad Cortex by Neural DSP. I've always been a big fan of their plugins, and also Dark Glass was the other company that I was like super. Still, I think that the pedals are awesome, but then they've integrated that into Neural DSP, which now they've integrated into the Quad Cortex, which makes things so much more interesting and exciting. So, yeah, can't wait to keep going with that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned something I was going to ask you about, and I'm glad you did because I might have forgotten. But well, first of all, you mentioned in both interviews that you like to do a lot of slapping.
Yeah.
I cannot look at a Music Man bass without thinking about slapping.
Yeah, yeah, I know. There because like it didn't like, Flea played him for a while, Lewis Johnson and a bunch of slap players played him for a little bit. I think. At least I thought I saw that.
And I think you also mentioned that you played a four string, but you tuned it down to a C, and I think you said an A sharp. You tuned the E string.
Yeah.
What you don't
Yeah.
play a five string? You like to have the feel of four strings, but you just like to tune it really down low. Is that a pretty accurate statement?
It is. I'm kind of experimenting with five string at right now, recently, like over the pandemic, and it's opened up a lot of doorways for writing. But in the four string realm of tuning down, and I realized too, like because Evanescence tunes down way down. Some of the songs are like in G, and I was like, whoa, you can go further down than that. But it's just a matter of getting the gauge right and the tension right. It's just a personal preference thing of what gauge you want to use. But I find that using like a 130 for an A sharp on Music Man is perfect. It's like a really nice area. And also B, turning to B as well. That works well. And I go down to sometimes I do 125. Oh no, sometimes I do 135, sorry, for A sharp and further down. It gets kind of crazy.
And I think I remember talking about Ampeg. You're
Yeah.
an person.
Yes. So with that, like with Sick Puppies, when we do cabinets on stage, I'll use Ampeg cabinets. But with Evanescence, there's no cabinet, so I just use it in the ears. So got both works.
Those are, more and more people are telling me that, but it's the in-ears are becoming so commonplace. My son got
Yeah.
it was about 5 years ago, and come from a musical family, so we're sitting in with the band. I said, "Where's your amp?" And he says, "There's no amp in ears." And
Yeah, it's all in the ears. Yeah, yeah. And you can get like bass drivers. You can get different types. And I got the one with I think an extra bass driver. It was, I can't remember the model, but it helps and you just turn up the bass a little bit and it's good. I mean, if you've got the side fills going, you kind of dare I say I don't miss the cabinet.
yeah, the only thing I didn't like was when he took it out of his ears and I put it into my ears. That was a little.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a very personal thing.
Yeah. You mentioned some of the effects and pedals, and I remember seeing somewhere that at one time you were a pretty big fan of Tech 21 and the Sans amp. So tell me about
Yes.
your experience with those, because those are all so many people use those.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back in the day. I remember like when we were doing Dress Up as Life, when we were recording, the producer was like, "Oh, I think he introduced me to the pedal because I was sort of like finding my sound and we were sort of finding our sound when we were recording back then." And so yeah, he had one of those pedals and I'm like, "Oh," or he ordered one and we started using it and it was really cool. I used it for a few years back then, yeah.
They are awesome. Hey, I want to ask you about playing bass and learning bass. For BassPlayersOnly.com is really a bass instruction site. And I've got people from pretty much all 50 states right now, and I don't know, 50, 60 countries worldwide, probably more than that now.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Most of the people that I'm attracting, I thought I was going to get the kids. I thought I was going to look at the 20-year-olds, but most of the people that are coming to me are in their 50s, 60s, 70s. I've got students in their 80s, both men and women.
Wow. That's so cool.
And I think it's very cool. And they're not
Yeah.
trying to set out on a career in music. They're not trying to tour the world and play sold out arenas to their adoring fans. They want to play some classic rock riffs. They want to play some
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe some funk R&B. Some of them are into slapping, some
Yeah. Yeah.
jazz and walking bass. And some of the things that happen to us when we get into our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, things like arthritis and tendonitis and
Yes.
recovering from surgery. So they may play short scale basses, or I try to tell them you don't have to be a bodybuilder to play the bass. You can make music feel so great by just laying down a super simple bass line. So I'm telling you all this to
Totally.
give you a context because knowing that now, I want to ask you what advice you can impart to somebody like that who wants to learn bass. They're starting later in life. They may have dabbled in it when they were younger, but now they have time and they've always wanted to do this. So,
Mm.
what should they be thinking about? What kind of goals should they set? What kind of questions should they ask? Jump in anywhere.
I mean, I think that first of all, I don't think it matters in whatever, no matter what age you are. Like, if it gets you, it gets you. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter. You could be 20, you could be 80. It doesn't matter. And I think the main thing, and just for me personally, and what attracted me to bass was, and why I wanted to do it was, back then you're just sort of learning. You're not thinking about like shows and, fans or anything like that. You just want to play your favorite songs. And I think that's the main thing. And the joy of being able to nail down your favorite song, whatever that might be, is as simple as that. And by doing that, you sort of you build a habit of playing and then you sort of connect the mind body thing. You know what I mean? You're like really into it as an energy when you play and you find your your style and you find what you like doing. Maybe it's slapping, maybe you get into that, or maybe you're more like groove based and melodic. You know what I mean? And I think simply by playing your favorite songs, like it'll by default you'll branch out into, what it means to you kind of thing.
Well, a lot of them love the classic rock songs from the 60s and the 70s,
Hmm. Yeah.
stuff I grew up with. So
Yeah, that's great.
just like I said, they may have dabbled with it, or maybe they played
Mm.
it when they were young, but then life happens and
Yeah.
wife, a husband, and kids, a job, a career, and all that. And now they've got some time. And I just, no, you're not. I don't know how old you are, but you're not too old. Look at this.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. It's the truth.
right. Well, you talked about the album and you mentioned the future. I don't know how far into the future you can see. So, is there anything else that you know of that either is going to happen or you are hoping to happen, or maybe there's something you've always wanted to do and you just haven't gotten around to yet? So, what do you see for the future that you're either going to do or would like to do?
I would just it's been a long time in the process of releasing this album with Sick Puppies. It's definitely something that I would like to see happen, and it's going to happen. So it's just sort of like, finishing that process and releasing it because it's been in the works for so long, and now it's coming to fruition. It feels really nice. And then after that, not that I can really see into the future, but I'd like to do some writing and recording some music with Evanescence and doing that process with them and learning how they do it and just learning more about that. I love every recording process. You always kind of learn a little bit more about, your musicianship, your playing, your style, maybe what you need to learn more of, that kind of stuff. And that really excites me because it pushes me and I get like, because they say like pressure makes diamonds and the recording process pushes me and I get very like anxious sometimes. And I think when that happens and when I do break through some of that, it's growth and it makes me feel good about that. So I'm really excited about doing that with them also in the future. And yeah, just touring and just living.
Make sure you wear the right hat when you're in the right context.
Oh, I know, totally.
I should
I'm
have
very aware of that.
I should have asked you this before, but how do you do the write? Who does the writing? Do you all three collaborate in Sick Puppies?
Yeah, yeah, we collaborate. It starts from any kind of a thing, just like a lot of artists and bands talk about. It could be like a riff, or it could be a concept, and nothing else. It could be nothing. You could just be sitting there, and then someone comes up with a riff or drum beat or whatever, and it just starts from there. But yeah, it's cool. It happens in different ways.
You remind me of the did you see the Queen movie? I think it was called Bohemian.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Bo rap, love it.
John Deacon was just in boom, boom, boom,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
boom, boom. But when they were in the middle of a fight or something,
That
and
was cool. I wonder if is that, do you know if that's accurate? That'd be so cool if it was.
what's
Who
this?
knows?
But I
Yeah.
watched the Beatles documentary, the
Oh,
most recent ones with from what's his name, Peter Jackson, or whatever his name
yeah.
is.
Was it the one that was like 3 episodes long?
Long episodes, yeah, with
Yeah.
too much information, if you ask me. But
Yeah, I
actual,
watched that too. It's great.
actual composing of Get Back, Paul was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sitting. He was a lefty, so he was.
Right, right.
So you all three live in the same country, same. I mean, so you all
Yep.
record together in the studio. It's not like, well, you're a band, you're tight, So it's not like one person's in this country and this.
Not countries, different states maybe. And sometimes we'll send stuff back and forth,
Oh, you
which is
don't
really
all live
cool.
in Australia or
No,
wherever?
no, we Mark and I live in California and Brian lives in Houston, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You should do my homework. Apparently, I missed that part. Okay.
No, no, that's cool. I mean, yeah, it's cool that we can do that because the mindset used to be, we all had to be in the one place to make it work. But I'm seeing, and definitely with Evanescence too, like they're all in different states and stuff, and it just you just come together and whether it's rehearsals or recording, and then in the meantime you can send each other stuff, you know, through Dropbox or whatever, and create stuff that way.
Yep, it's a whole different world. But you were born in Singapore, right?
Yeah, yeah, I was.
Lived in Tokyo.
Yep, yep.
Uh,
Yeah, you know your stuff. I was born there and then lived in Tokyo a little bit, lived in Sydney, lived in New Zealand a little bit as well.
I was doing a tour in 1992, we went all through Japan, and I went to
Oh,
the
nice.
jazz club in Tokyo and also in Osaka. So
Oh,
Gerald,
cool.
sax player, it's awesome.
Who, sorry? Say again?
Gerald Albright,
Oh, nice.
jazz.
Sure.
But the
Yeah.
strangest thing I saw was in the Roppongi district of Tokyo. There was a food truck, and he was selling falafel. Falafel?
Really?
I bought one because this is too weird.
How was it?
I said, like falafel. It was great.
I thought you were going to say, because they sell those octopus like balls. Have you seen those takoyaki, the octopus balls? I thought you were going to say that because that's like on the corner, or at least, when I was living there, it used to be on the
No,
corners of some streets.
no, but you reminded me of something else. During the early part of the tour, I had gone to a 7-Eleven and I
Yep.
a bag of trail mix, which is, seeds and nuts and maybe a little dried fruit. I'm in my dressing,
Yeah.
eating it. What does that smell? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I look in the bag and there's little teeny tiny fish in the
Oh,
bag.
yeah, that's right. That's
Like,
right. They do have that. Yeah, that's great. I know.
a little bit of culture shock, but
Yeah, I bet.
so we went to Japan and Korea. We were supposed to go to Taiwan for 3 days, but that part of the trip
Yeah.
got canceled. So I went with a few other folks and we climbed Mount Fuji and I went all the
Oh,
way.
did you really? Wow, that's amazing.
Only
That
me and
that's a
one
bit of a
other guy
bucket
made it
list.
all the way to the top. His name was Dwight. I haven't seen him since 1992, but we said we are going to the top.
Wow. How long did it take you?
Oh, we pretty much cleared the whole day for it.
So it only took you a day?
No, I don't remember. A good part of the day, but what I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
was we were on top and it's snow up there on top of the mountain.
Yeah, right.
So we're going like this, we going down the mountain, and then all of a sudden it wasn't snow anymore. But we're going down
Right.
sort of like rocks.
Oh, really?
We're getting way off track here, but
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
yeah. Anyway,
That's cool.
such a pleasure talking to you. Wave the Bull is the new album, which will be
Yep.
released. Do you have a date, or we just know sometime in early 2025?
Early 2025. Yeah, and then we'll be releasing some songs up until then in the
Yeah.
months to come. Yeah.
One is out, another one is just about out, and I think
Yep.
10 or 12 or something like that altogether. So, yeah,
Yeah.
who's going to tease them out? Right?
That's right.
All right. Well, great talking with you. And
You too.
what I've heard of the two singles, I'm sure the rest of the record is going to be awesome. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
thanks so much for joining me, and good luck on the tour and everything else. And let's do this again. And I hope you don't wait
Yes.
another 6 years or 8 years.
Yes, hopefully not.
Thanks very much. You're watching ForBassPlayersOnly.com. I'm John Liebman, founder and first baseman. If you've ever wanted to learn bass, but you think you're too old or your body won't let you, you should know that right now there are thousands of people inside the For Bass Players Only community. A lot of them over 50, 60, 70, over 80. They are learning bass, they're playing their favorite music, and they're having the time of their life, the music that they love. You should come join them, experience that incredible transformation for yourself, because you're never too old to groove, right, Emma?
That's correct.
Thank
That's
you,
right.
my special guest, Emma Anzai. Watch for Wave the Bull coming your way in bits and pieces and then all at once in 2025. In the meantime, I will see you right back here next week, same time, same place. I'm John Liebman. Let's play bass.